Sky Sports with Scottish Life, the pension company, bringing you winning performers.
A year ago, Diego Borrego won this event at El Soler in Valencia. He was the fifth first-time winner of 1996. As we return to Maspalomas, we've had two first-time winners on the European Tour this year and two in a row in Morocco and Portugal. Gran Canaria is our venue. It's one of the 7 islands that make up the Canaries archipelago and is known as the mini-continent. There's beach, mountains and rugged coastline on offer. Average temperature 23 degrees Celsius, ideal for golf. The tourist authorities are backing the development of the sport in the area because of the upmarket profile of the average travelling golfer. With only 2 courses on Gran Canaria, there's plenty of scope for construction. The Campo de Golf Maspalomas hosts Europe's golfers this week. It's round 1 of the Turespaña Masters Open de Canarias. It was here in 1995 and way before his current problems that Seve was thrilling the locals. But it was another showman, Jarmo Sandlin, who was to produce the magic. A first victory for the animated Swede, who was to be the Rookie of the Year. Now, the momentum is building. Valderrama 97 is on people's minds. And looking to claim a place, the likes of Lee Westwood. He tees off this afternoon. Padraig Harrington, after a punishing early season schedule, goes this morning. Alongside Philip Walton and Miguel Angel Jimenez, who Seve must be keeping a close eye on. Andrew Coulthard returns after a week off. The laser-like iron play of David Guilford will be a feature this morning. After his runner-up finish in Morocco, Roger Chapman is a potential Ryder Cupper. And so is the affable Peter Mitchell, the London club professional, who is 14th in the Ryder Cup standings. There's no denying it. The event is huge and growing, and it's on the players' minds. Let's call Monty a definite. Elsewhere in the current top 10, 4 players are striving for their first outing, including second-year pro Thomas Bjorn of Denmark. We're unlikely to see the name Michael Jonsson in the team, but what a nerveless victory it was from the Swede last week. Especially considering that Jose Maria Olazabal started the final round just 2 back and heavily favoured. Jose Maria returns to Spain this week. It's been a long, arduous trek. Welcome to the Turespaña Masters Open de Canarias. Henceforth, it will be known as the Turespaña Masters or the Canaries Open because that's too much of a mouthful. Live coverage for the next 4 days or so. The first 2 rounds will have 2 live sessions split, morning and afternoon. Ballesteros, Olazabal, Lee Westwood returning. Paul Broadhurst is in tremendous form as well. So much to look forward to. But before we talk about the tournament and the players, we really must talk about what everyone else is talking about in the world of golf, and that is the Ryder Cup, Seve, and the selection process. And with me to discuss it, the man who is now walking a tightrope. Not only is he commentating for Sky Sports, he is on the tournament committee and he's a 5 times Ryder Cupper, Ken Brown. Ken, let me just tell a brief story first. 10 automatic selections from the European team standings, which is pounds, and that will be ending, a couple of weeks before the Ryder Cup, and 2 captains' picks for Seve. But suddenly this whole issue has become in focus. There was a player meeting, wasn't there, in Portugal that Seve attended, and a vote was taken, and it was pretty common knowledge that most of the guys on the tour say there should be more than 2 picks, but Seve was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, Seve's keen to get an extra pick. He's got the problems, of course, with the players playing in America, particularly Parnevik and Fowler, and of course Olazabal's back in the equation now. So he's keen, as I think every player is, to have the strongest side.
But that's the essence of the argument, isn't it? How do we guarantee getting the strongest European side?
Well, we've always managed it in the past, and last time we did eventually, but of course Olazabal did have to back out and Woozy stepped in. I think 3 picks is the answer, and the players are going to have a sort of referendum on it, a questionnaire which Mark James is sorting out. and they're going to be asked whether they think there should be more picks, and then it's got to be looked into all the different ramifications for changing the selection process midway through, because there may be some.
Are you saying that somebody perhaps at 10th in the European team standings who suddenly sees the rules change halfway through may have grounds for legally complaining?
Well, I don't know, but they've got to make sure that's all covered, because it would be a shame for somebody who's got a chance to get in not to get in. But I think that everyone is unanimous in the idea that we should have the strongest side.
Well, Monty's a shoe-in at the moment with 331,000. The mark expected to be number 10 come selection time. Probably 340, 350,000 pounds. If the Aussies keep on running away with the first prize checks, then that won't happen. But you can see that there is, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 players over 200,000 pounds down to number 5, Rocker. Ian Woosnam, of course, would have been much higher if he could have just got over the water and up and down in Dubai, but Woosie going well at 173. It's the names a little bit further down that you look at. You look at Paul Broadhurst and perhaps Jean van der Velde and perhaps a Harrington or a Chapman who, well, they would be gutted, wouldn't they? And they'd be right to be gutted if the selection process changes and they were denied a Ryder Cup place, Kenny. Sympathy for them?
Well, we'll have to see it. The rules may not be changed, but there's always somebody who's unlucky. And the key is to have the strongest side, because it's the success of the Ryder Cup side. We won 3 since 1983. And the major winners, we've won 17 major championships, the big 6 European players. That is what's developed the tour, the star players. And winning the Ryder Cup is a vital ingredient in that. And all the players are keen to see that. And someone may be disappointed if there's an extra selection, but that's just how the cookie crumbles. If we win the matches, everyone benefits.
I was going to say, it's very commendable for the membership to be backing less picks when they could be looking for maybe 9 or 8, 9 or 10. Does it devalue what we do the whole year round? Does it devalue the European Tour with more picks? I mean, I have seen a feature written suggesting that maybe Seve should have 12 picks, just as we see a manager of a football team take 12 picks. He's the man who's got to harness the power of these players and their mentality. Well, let's give him 12 then. Let's push it the whole way.
No, well, I don't think that's the system we have is a proven success winner. If you take 8, 9 or 10 off the money list, they are the best players of that period. They're playing well, and that is a guaranteed thing. Whether, as you say, that if a couple of extra picks may well help him out, and I think eventually it'll probably end up as 3. That's my gut feeling, but it's just a guess.
Seve said, and I am stirring a little bit here, but Seve said he doesn't want people in the team who've just played a lot. Yes. Is it right that if you do play a lot, I mean, with 350 grand is a lot of money to be earning if you are just playing a lot, but I guess he sets pretty high standards.
Yes, I think what he's keen to get is not just a journeyman pro getting in because he's played a lot, but these days to earn that £350,000, it may be a little bit less. You have to play a great season and a bit's golf. There's no way of just getting in through finishing the top 10s. You've got to win tournaments, really. There's no way around it, unless you play superbly well for a full season.
The essence of the Ryder Cup, match play and head-to-head, people relate very well to it. How come we don't have more match play on the European Tour now?
Well, as you say, I think people do love match play. The World Match Play has been a success. The Dunhill Cup is a sort of refined match play thing, and people enjoy that. The problem is, television-wise and all the other things, sponsorship-wise, you can't necessitate who's going to reach the final. And people like to see the star players playing on the final day, and they can easily get knocked out.
Round robin.
Round robin may be the answer.
Round robin.
Seeded players as well might be the answer, but that's not how golf is. It's an open competition. There should be 156 there is here players this week, all with a chance to win.
It's a sport from my past that we're getting into there. Yeah. You wouldn't want to be tangling with the tennis mob. Thanks very much for the moment, Kenny. You'll be making your way over to Steve Beddoe in the commentary box. Good morning to you, Steve. There were reports that the course was, well, perhaps not in the best condition all the way around, but the players have been very pleased with it.
They have. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, everybody. Everybody pleasantly surprised. There were 1 or 2 warnings, but the PGA Tour agronomy team and the green staff here have worked very hard. And if you and I were playing this course, you would say, well, this is in pretty good nick. 1 or 2 little areas, but the players to a man were all saying yesterday much better than we expected. The course is fair, and they're all looking forward to it. The players do not have a problem with the Mas Palomas course. Now let's have a look at how 1 or 2 players are going at the moment, notably Severiano Ballesteros, who is just out of range of our cameras at the moment. Of course, Seve 2 under. Now that's good news, because I feared if he struggled again today, we'd be getting telephone calls from the league against Cruel Sports, because he really has suffered in previous weeks. But 2 under, and remember, Seve hasn't broken par in a tournament so far this year, and he hasn't made a cut, and so everybody with fingers crossed that the maestro will be here for the weekend. Now playing just in front of Seve in the 3-ball with Andrew Coulthard and Darren Clark, Jose Maria Olazabal, who played so well last week, and everybody expected him to win. I think that may be expecting a little too much, but there's no doubt that he is fiercely competitive once again. Also almost within range of our cameras, and also 2 under. But the man who is setting the pace at the moment is the Englishman Jim Payne, the Italian Open champion. The man from Grimsby, now living in London. He too has had a quiet start to the year, but quietly confident that his game was headed in the right direction and coming alive today. 5 under with an eagle at the 18th. He, of course, starting his round at the 10th. So Jim Payne, the leader of this Turespaña Masters, Open de Canarias at the moment by 1 from Daniel Westermark. Jonathan Lomas, with a new driver in the bag, is going well also. Likewise, Miguel Angel Jimenez, who was going well at the halfway stage at Alajuela last week and then had a wretched weekend, doesn't seem to have dented his confidence too much. And Robert Lee, 3 under through 6. Robert Lee, who finished tied 15th in Portugal last week, back off the Challenge Tour. And there he is. And Lee, good to see him back on the tour. Mixed fortunes, missed the cut in Morocco, but as I say, played very well last week. Now, someone that always does well first 2 days and then just falls away a little at the weekend is Domingo Hospital, and he's 2 under at the 8th hole, par 3. 229 yards on the car, but they've moved the tee 40 or 50 yards forward, and that's a beauty from Hospital. Plenty of bunkers on this course, but you'll see as we take a look from the helicopter, for the pros, they don't really come into play. It has to be pointed out, this also, for want of a better word, a municipal course, so it gets plenty of wear and tear, and all things considered, it is in very good condition. There you can see all those bunkers. Well, that's not going to worry a pro who's hitting a medium iron. Perhaps that one on the left may just do if you hit it a bit heavy or take the wrong club. And the pin today cut fairly tight on that left-hand side, just 3 paces in and 16 yards on. So Hospital for a birdie 2. Of course, it's a par 73. We were here 2 years ago. It was a 72. They've extended the 11th from a par 4 to a par 5, so it's par 73. Quite tight, but I do think the scoring will be pretty low this week. Greens tricky to read. They look, most of them, reasonably flat, and of course they're not, just a little subtle. And you see it just lipping out there. It really has, from Dubai, Morocco, Portugal, all 3. He's been thereabouts come Friday evening, just hasn't got the job finished. So Hospital remains at 2 under. Now Robert Lee at the 7th, the par 5, is for a birdie. And that's 3 in a row for Robert Lee. 4 in the last 5 holes. He goes to 4 under, just 1 behind the early leader, and Jim Payne. There's the 8th hole, the par 3. You can see no holes in one yet, but 5 birdies so far this morning. There's Lee on the tee, been working very hard on his swing with Eddie Birchenough, the pro at Royal Living Sedans, who also coaches Paul Eales and Russell Clayton. Third on the Challenge Tour Order of Merit last year, top 15 get their cards for the full tour, and he's pushed that away to the right. Not the best shot that Robert Lee's hit this morning. In fact, we saw him on the 18th at Alajuela last week. He played pretty poorly, so maybe he knows when the cameras are on him. Now Raymond Russell, the man who in 4 weeks' time will defend it in Cannes. Going well today. 9th hole, par 4, 430 yards. There's a bunker on the left-hand side, which the players have to avoid. Russell also last week, after a slow start to 1997, was showing flashes of getting back to his 1996 form, and that's spreading the fairway, no problem there. Course extended fully to 7,021 yards, and a lot of these tees really right on the back pegs. Now, Hospital. Can't see on the right of your picture is the bunker, the one they've just got to avoid. There is one on the other side, but that really doesn't come into play. It's too near the tee for these players. And the problem really for the players, it's quite a flat course, and its definition, just you have to trust your yardage book, because you've got nothing really to gauge for the eye from the distance. As we wander up the ninth, you can see that bunker on the right, so that doesn't come into play. There's that bunker on the left-hand side, and it's quite a tight landing area. If you get past or over that, then the ball is thrown forward off the slope, and it becomes just a flick into what is one of the flatter greens on the course. A couple of bunkers either side, and in the distance the mountains, which make this Gran Canaria island so spectacular, an island of complete contrast. Well, 3 eagles and at the first hole, Darren Clark with one of them, and on the first hole holding his second shot. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Jim Payne ahead by 1 from Daniel Westermark, and now Robert Lee, with Andrew Coulthard back in action and going well. There's Smith, the veteran Irishman, and 2 leads on the leaderboard just to make it difficult. Darren Lee from London, 3 under, rookie season, and best start to a tournament by some distance. David Guilford also out on the course, 2 under through 12. We'll be seeing plenty of David Guilford and Paul Broadhurst. 3rd last week, and Darren Clark, who finished a place behind. Both of those players going pretty well. Seve, that's good to see. Seve on a leaderboard. And Alex Chaker there as well. Padraig Harrington taking none of the advice about taking a week off. He's back out again, enjoying it. He just loves playing golf. And Stephen Allen, who's featured once or twice, first round leader in Morocco, who finished strongly last week at Araweira, and Retief Houston, 2 under, back from Malaysia. Hospital and Russell also going well. Olatharbel 1 under through 12. Ben Tinning from Denmark, who featured in our early coverage in Morocco a couple of weeks ago. 156 players out in this first round, 2 amateurs, 154 pros, and 1 or 2 names that you won't have seen too often before. Conditions are perfect again. In fact, one of the least rewarding jobs on the island must be TV weatherman. It's the same every day. Sunshine, 75 to 80 degrees, light breeze, ideal for golf. And we're on the way, round 1 of the Turespaña Masters Open Canarias. Welcome back to round 1 of the Turespaña Masters Open Canarias. I suppose if Jose Maria Canizares wins, I might get away with that, but he's level par to the turn. Ken Brown's joined me in the commentary box, made it from the studio. And Ken, we were saying that the scoring might be low. I was surmising that perhaps the driver might be left in the bag, but you think if you're driving well and driving long, that could be the key this week.
Yeah, it's very important here to, if you can hit a driver away, it makes a lot of the holes play a good bit shorter. So if you are hitting it straight, you've got to take that advantage. There's Jim Payne going along very, very steadily. Had that marvellous eagle at the 18th, his 9th hole, and 2 birdies on the back 9. So he's top of the pile at the moment at 6 under. Maybe he's a Ryder Cup player.
Well, he needs to get going, but he's certainly one of that crop of young players that you're looking to come through and be part of our next generation. Now, Robert Lee sprayed his tee shot at the 8th quite a long way to the right, and chipping back to this pin, which is cut a long way to the left. and that's pretty good. They've moved the tee forward. Do you know how far they've actually moved it forward on this eighth?
It's playing about 167 to the front of the green today. Off the back tee, this hole measures 229 yards, the eighth, but they put it forward because they feel, particularly if there's any wind about, it plays rather long, and especially over the first 2 rounds.
Well, this is the fifth hole, dogleg par 4 from left to right, and trouble either side, and a raised green. But this is a hole where if you, I suppose, put a driver in your hand, you could get very close to the green. And how close would you want to be, though?
Yes, that's the decision. Can you drive the putting surface? Well, you certainly can't today. You'd have a reasonably strong wind behind. You bring those 2 bunkers into the play. So players hitting something from the tee to leave themselves a 100 yards or a 90-yard wedge shot they can spin into the green. Some beautiful Bermuda grass fairways here, and the ball sits up beautifully. You can really nip the ball off the top. And the pin today is 16 on 6 from the right-hand side. And you can see players have been taking advantage of it. Just the 1 bogey so far.
Yes, if you go out to the left, I was out there earlier, Neil Briggs in the scrub on the left. You're pretty unlucky to get an unplayable lie. And Neil Briggs, quite a tight lie, but was able to get quite close to the pin with his second. But this is where we're going to pick up our leader, Jim Payne. First out this morning, 740 from the 10th tee. An attractive 3-ball as well. He's playing with David Guilford and Paul Broadhurst. And there's Jim Payne in the centre, reunited with his regular caddy, Barry the Judge, who was at Cheltenham last week.
Said to me he came out even. I don't know whether that means he came out slightly behind, but it was a reasonable week for the Judge. You can just see him there in the left-hand corner of the picture. Very keen racehorse man.
He's also into the rhyming slang. I was sat next to him on the plane going back from Morocco, and he said to the steward, Moroccan, can I have a Rosie, please, meaning a Rosie Lee cup of tea, and a bottle of red wine turned up for me, which was very acceptable. So he's got his uses. Some of the holiday villas here at Maspalomas, which is on the southern tip of the island of Gran Canaria. Just the 2 golf courses on the island at the moment, but plans for a third, which Seve's going to design. There's the leaderboard. Jim Payne now 2 clear in these early stages of Robert Lee, and with Paul Broadhurst, his playing partner, at 3 under, also going well. I backed Broadhurst the last 2 weeks, and third last week. I got my money back and a little bit more. He's starting to run into some good form at the moment. 2 top 10 in a row.
Yes, he's a good, solid player, is Paul Broadhurst. A lot of top 10s, and Olazabal a little bit up and down. 3 birdies in a row he had. 18 in the first and second, but just 1 under par for the round. In fact, I came in this morning with Seve and Olazabal in his Range Rover, so it was quite a nice little trip with Sergio Gomez. In very early, it was pitch dark when we arrived at 6:30.
Well, they were out early, 7:50, Jose Maria, 8 o'clock. Seve's group, just behind this 3-ball. There's David Guilford's second. That will do. And Guilford at the moment 2 under. Made birdies at 11, 15 and 80. Just a 1-drop shot at 13. And Seve, as we say, going so far so good. Still trying to get that first round of the year. Seems amazing, under par, and to make his first cut.
Of course he enjoys this one though, Steve. Finished second here last time they played. This Maspalomas course seems to suit his game. In fact, he was 6 strokes ahead with 14 holes to go, but Jarmo Sandlin pipped him.
Yes, the winning score 2 years ago was 6 under par, and already Jim Payne 6 under. I think that shows you how much better condition the course is in than 2 years ago, and Jim Payne every chance of going to 7 under.
A lovely quality shot that, judging how much the ball is going to fly coming out of the rough.
Now Raymond Russell at the 9th hole, about to reach the turn. If he makes this putt, it will be 33, 36 the par out, and 37 coming home. First look at this wonderful, slow, smooth putting stroke, which always gives a chance. And every time we say what a good putting stroke it is, he usually misses. So I think we'll keep quiet next time.
Yeah, this 9th green, as you said at the top of the programme, a fairly flat green, but 1 or 2 subtle undulations, a little bit of grain on this grass as well. It's very difficult to read, so you'll see one or two players during the 4 days looking at them a bit quizzically.
This is Domingo Hospital for his part. I know you're very big on reading greens, and I mean, how does a player get? Is it just experience?
Yes, experience and a little bit of guile as well as Hospital taps in. It's his birthday today.
38, 39? I think he might be 39 today. May not thank us for that. At least he's not 40. Paul Broadhurst running into good form, top 10 the last 2 weeks. A little disappointed, not much happened for him in Portugal on Sunday, just the one birdie, couldn't get it going. The back end, the second half of last year was remarkably consistent. Russell currently 60th in the Volvo rankings. This is 6th tournament of the year, and it's the 9th on the schedule. Finished tied 9th last week, so that's his best result of the year.
Safely brushes that one in. The area of the golf course good for scoring, 9, 10 and 11. And 12's a birdie opportunity as well, so you've got to take those opportunities around the loop.
Miguel Angel Jimenez going really well. He was right up on the leaderboard last week with opening rounds of 69, 68, but then the weekend was disastrous, 79, 75. So he'll be looking to hang around a little longer this time.
Yes, he played with Mark James last week, and he said he was driving the ball well and putting beautifully, but his irons were going everywhere, and obviously caught up with him over the weekend.
David Guilford, 48th in the money list. So after a quiet 1996, signs that Guilford is gearing himself up for a crack at a second Ryder Cup appearance. The one. Or will it try to wander one way, then t'other? In it goes though, 3 under. And Guilford played here 2 years ago, finished just in the top 40. Because 2 years ago we played a lot earlier. It was beginning of February, so of course a month on as well, and that always helps.
Guilford's best finish so far this season, 7th in the South African Open, so he's had some good performances, and this is a golf course I think would suit him, keeping the ball in play. If you do that off these lovely fairways, and he's a very good judge of his iron shots, particularly his short irons, he could well be in the hunt.
Well, such the quality of Jim Payne's second shot. He's third to play, but Broadhurst starting to get his act together with the putter over the last couple of weeks. A newspaper article on Sunday in the UK comparing Maspalomas to Collingtree, where you can see for yourself that's just plainly ridiculous. And the author said, who can ever forget the sight of at Collingtree, Paul Broadhurst taking 5 putts on the 18th green? Well, of course, that was at Carnoustie, not Collingtree, sir.
It's a lovely place to be playing golf, particularly in a morning like this. You can hear the old blackbird chirping away there. He's feeling good, and so's this man, Andy Coulthard, 3 under so far. Just had a lovely 2 at the third.
We're seeing Andrew in a moment. He's just behind this 3-ball with Darren Clark and Jose Maria Orotharbo. But this now for a 3-shot lead. This for Jim Payne to go to 7 under. And the hole looking as big as a bucket on a Thursday morning at Maspalomas. Jim Payne, 7 under. Payne going particularly well. There's Daniel Westermark from Sweden, who was leading for a little while at 4 under earlier in the day. He's dropped a shot and he's back to 3, but it's still a useful first round. Jim Payne, though, with a 3-shot lead over Andrew Coulthard now, who's at 4 under. Miguel Jimenez there, Robert Lee as well. David Guilford, Paul Broadhurst, all going well. They're in our top 3-ball with Payne, Guilford and Broadhurst. And to come after the break, well, it's Jose Maria Olazabal and Severiano Ballesteros. Pleasant sunny day on the island of Gran Canaria. Should that change over the next 4 days, it's most unlikely, we will tell you. And coming in range of our cameras now, see the sand dunes separating this course from the beach. Seve Ballesteros just behind this freeboard. An attractive trio it is as well. Darren Clark, Andrew Coulthard and Jose Maria Olazabal. Olazabal just coming off a birdie at the par 5 fourth, so he's back to 2 under. And out on the course with this match, he gets to pick, you know, and this is the one that I think I'd be following. And it's good morning to Tim Barter.
Good morning, Messrs. Besso and Brown. I'm with Andrew Coulthard, as you say. He's found the trouble here at the 5th hole, driven the ball left off the tee and got an unfortunate bounce, and he's up against one of the palm trees. Only got about 110 yards to go, so not too much of a problem to cover the distance, but his follow-through really severely limited by the bush in front.
And the Olazabal report, fitness and form.
Fitness looks okay. Isn't struggling with the feet at all. Form a little bit up and down today. Lost the ball at the 11th where he drove it into the right-hand rough, and had a couple of 3 putts early on.
And some spectacular golf from Darren Clark, who's just had his second eagle in 4 holes with a 3 at the 4th. Let's go ahead to 9, and Robert Lee to go to 5 under.
Right in the jaws. A new putter he picked up last week where he played extremely well. So maintaining his form on the greens.
Well, Andrew Coulthard just calling for a referee. A little bit of burrowing animal stuff around his ball. I assume that's what it is, but I will come across and find out. Olazabal's going to play.
And how far has he got, Tim?
106 yards, Ken. Just a good full sandwich.
Great course management from Olazabal, because Ken, he will have selected the club from the tee shot to leave himself the full sand iron in.
Yes, all players are always working on all the different strategies. Well, this man has found the answers, particularly on the back 9 holes. Eagle at the first, where he holed his second shot.
And yes, Darren Clark 4th in that Johnny Walker Ryder Cup points table, and I think the sort of form he's showing last week and this morning looks a strong bet for Valderrama. And I think he would be a good and welcome newcomer, a powerful player, and just getting confirmation from the course. Slightly worse news for Darren, it was only a birdie at the 5th. Sorry about that. We were told initially it was an eagle, but it's still a good looking card, 3 under. He's the sort of player, Ken, that I think you were thinking of. If the driver is good this week, if he gets it out and can use it plenty of times, he's got a real advantage around here.
He has, as he has on a lot of golf courses, but with Darren it always comes down to one instrument. That's the old bread and butter, the putter. If that works well for him, he's always a threat. A wonderful striker of a golf ball in the Tiger Woods mould.
Here's a famous golfing name, Stephen Gallagher, nephew of Bernard. That's his second to the 9th. Was dogged by injury last year. His first year on tour.
Always a lot of pressure, particularly early on the season, for the fellas coming through the Challenge Tour and the qualifying school to get off to a flying start. They have the re-rank, and that sets the tone for the rest of the season. Started
really well, Stephen, with a couple of birdies, but had a double at the the fifth, the seventh, the par 5.
David Guilford's found the right side of the 6th fairway. It's a 2-level green, but the tee runs through the centre of the green rather than across it, and the pin on the left-hand side, you can just see it moving in the wind. And let's have a look at this hole. 434 yards. Very dramatic and narrow fairway, just sort of 35 yards, 40 yards between the two sets of the trees. It plays down the hill. Very important to find the fairway, ideally down this right-hand side. It gives you a big advantage. The tee on this hole has been moved some 15-20 yards up because of where the pin has been cut on that little high tier on the left-hand side. The pin on 15.6 from the left-hand side, and just 11 yards up the little ridge. So it's like playing to the top of a volcano. You've got to be absolutely precise.
It is a tight tee shot, and perhaps a slider. Well, from this range, it ought to be going at the pin, I suppose, from the side where Guilford is. But the safe shot is to the right of the pin, and maybe try and slide it up. He maybe anticipated a flyer there, and you can see what a difficult chip or putt even he's left himself.
Yes, it's a very, very difficult pin to get close to, and if you do miss the green short or left or over the back, it's extremely difficult to get down in 2.
There's Jim Payne, 7 under, but Wise in big trouble here. As much as all he can do is try and get the ball out onto the fairway again. It's a little unlucky, really. I mean, there's plenty of space there to be that tight to a tree.
Be careful you don't try and hit it too far. You just catch a branch or the trunk there and have an air shot.
He's okay this time. And let's go back to the 5th and the Andrew Coulthard match. He's got a ruling from a referee. What's the verdict, Tim?
Yes, been given free relief. He was actually standing on the edge of a sprinkler head, which is very close by, keeping that palm tree alive. So being given nearest point of relief and then 1 club length, which he's measured off. And now has a very clear shot to the green, so rather fortunate there for Andrew. Let's hope he can make the best of that break.
You see the players using the rules last week in particular. Jose Maria Olazabal from the middle of a bush to get a reasonable drop. That was a free drop, and a free drop for Coulthard today. So you can make the rules work for you.
Still not an easy shot. Just depends how the ball is lying.
Coming off 2 birdies in a row. 4 under.
Well, not lying too badly, Kenny, on a sandy lie, but just 110 yards to go. Caught it a bit thin, though.
He may need another drop, I think. He may not get it. That could be a little fierce.
Jim Payne's got a few tree problems. Just got a backswing here. He's 2nd to the 6th and got a bit of a flyer, I think. Sorry, of course, his 3rd shot. Very, very difficult to judge if you're coming out of the rough to this little pin position cut on the pimple.
He's obviously had the waterproof on to protect himself from the tree. There's the ball of Andrew Coulthard, not lying too badly behind the green. Now to the 6th, and Paul Broadhurst perfectly placed. No reason why he shouldn't go for the pin, but even then, well, that's a yard further. Could have been very close.
Wouldn't surprise me at all if that becomes the hardest hole of the week, particularly when the tee goes back. Stephen Gallagher's 3rd to the par 4 9th. Funny little bunkers on this golf course. They're mainly flat and very steep lips. They're about 2 feet high. So most part of the bunkers you've got nothing to worry about. If you just get tight to the lips, they're very, very difficult to get the ball up quick enough. Now still problems for Coulthard.
Yes, he's Not really got too much problem with the tree in front of him. The branches of that won't affect the shot, but ball not lying brilliantly well on a little bit of a root. And just 6 yards of green to work with once he carries them all over this semi-rough. So he may have to pitch it just short of the fringe and hope that it hops up in the way that he imagines.
Whenever you have to pitch the ball into the fringe, particularly with this Bermuda grass, you're never quite sure how the ball's going to react.
A Scottish shot, really, the bump and run, and up down from there.
I think he'd be absolutely delighted if he can get away with a par here.
Certainly looks that way.
It's good he was out of position off the tee and through the green in two.
Coulthard, who's attached to the St Andrews, the old course hotel there, so he gets a nice free room from time to time, and a lovely place it is too, looking out over the bay at St Andrews.
Some touring pro for the new course up there, looking down over the old town, the Peter Thompson course. There we go for going with the putter. I guess that's sensible. Not the best chipper in the world, as we saw at Oak Hill, of course.
That's a marvellous shot, right on line. You're absolutely right, Steve. He's not the strongest part of his game is chipping. The rest of it is very good straight hitter of the ball, good iron player, good putter. But his chipping and sandbag can be a little bit iffy.
He's 18th in that Ryder Cup points table. Just needs a couple of big weeks, and wouldn't be very far away at all. You say Darren Clark, it is the putter that occasionally lets him down.
It's for a birdie for Elizabeth. Yet to make a par on this night. 3 birdies and a bogey so far. Not too much break in it, downhill. And he makes another one. It's an up and down day for Ollie, but he'll be pleased with that one. Darren Clark just missed his opportunity for birdie, so he's in safely for a par 4.
Jim Payne playing 4 at 6. This is the leader at 7 under. He may get away with a bogey 5, but that's not dead by any manner of means. The touring pro from the Forest of Arden.
Yeah.
Now, this is only some 5 feet or so, Tim, but it's not the easiest putt to read. You just had a look at the break.
Yes, looks as though it'll just break a fraction from right to left, but the grain also can affect things. These players have been putting quite a lot of balls on the practice days, trying to get a feel for which way the grain runs. Andrew, a very good putter, much admired by his peers. Let's hope he can salvage a par after his problems.
Nice confident stroke as well, and a 4 on the card. And that will do. Let's get on to the next tee.
Looks like his haircut as well had a real number 2. Now Broadhurst from below this tier, very difficult to judge. He's about 5 feet below. You can see it just running up there. Completely misjudging the pace. The 2 halves of this green, the grass is slightly different. The left-hand side has been reseeded last June, and the other side, the low side, is the old type, which is a lot softer and more spongy, and all different types of grass in it.
For sure, but I mean, you couldn't offer any excuse for that. That was a bad putt, and Paul would know that. A little unlucky because could so easily have been there for 2. He was close to going in at the pin.
Now a good look around this one. This breaks very slightly from right to left. And the grain is slightly into you as well, so it's a little bit slower than it looks. But Broadhurst is normally very good at reading greens.
So many more birdies than anybody else last year, so you have to be able to read the putting surfaces to do that.
good second shot there. He didn't deserve to drop a stroke, but saves his par, and he remains at a 3 under. Now a big putt for Jim Payne. Everything's gone right for him so far. Hasn't dropped a stroke yet. 5 birdies and an eagle. Of course, this is for a bogey 5. He doesn't want to drop 2 here.
And Neil Briggs going well, and Retief Hoosen, who was 3rd behind Lee Westwood in Malaysia a couple of weeks ago, back on the European Tour and at 4 under. Short putter for a tour man. Jim Payne salvages a 5. Back to 6 under, the lead just 2 now.
Very confidently holed out, as you'd expect from someone playing well.
And there's Hoosen, who made his breakthrough win at Slady Hall last year, and 4 under at the moment, got the putter going. If that is a weakness, rather like Darren Clark, Hoosen hits the ball huge distances, beautiful smooth swinger of a club, but occasionally doesn't reap the rewards on the greens.
He's a marvellous striker of a golf ball. I think one of the best swings on the tour. Now, guess who this is?
Yeah, no prizes, but he's been in the trees once or twice before and fashioned marvellous recoveries.
Coming out that sandy area there, it's got to be so precise with your contact. We saw Coulthard thinning it, and Seve there catching that one a little bit heavy. But at the moment, Big Jim's at the top of the leaderboard.
He is. The lead cut from 3 to 2. That won't matter too much at this stage. Westermark and Coulthard 4 under with Briggs, Hoosen and Lee. And we understand from the course that Jose Maria Olazabal at the 6 has played a provisional ball. So I wonder if that's a repeat of the Johnson incident at the 10th, because the balls can stick up trees here. Peter Mitchell a couple of years ago actually played a ball from the lower reaches of a tree. Let's hope we don't see that again. We'll be back with more from Mas Palomas after the break. Severiano Ballesteros 2 under par, but struggling at this 5th hole into the trees. This is his 3rd shot. Go on. Oh. But he is a maestro of the short game. It's a bit like your Ryder Cup moment, Ken Brown, at Livingston Downs, wasn't it?
Yes, right across the edge of the hole. What a marvellous shot that was. Just softly landed it on the green, got it to check a little bit and run to the hole side. Well, he tapped that one in. He's always working on his swing, Seve. But he looks a little bit more promising this week. He had 7 birdies in the Pro-Am, and maybe he's found a little something.
Right, to the 7th, the par 5, which just about reachable in 2 for the big hitters. The tournament leader, Jim Payne, 6 under. 2 ahead of a pack of players on 4 under. Now, problems for Jose Maria Olazabal. We saw him hit a provisional off the 6. Tim, what's actually happening?
Yes, hit his original tee shot some 40 yards right of the fairway and found a bush, so has taken an unplayable lie, penalty 1 shot, and dropped out, now facing a shot of about 160 yards. Ball not lying too badly, but totally unsighted, as the trees and bushes on the right of the fairway between him and the flag.
You can see that when they built the golf course, Mackenzie Rose, they didn't worry too much about the area 40 yards off the fairway. Now Guildford at 7.
It's a low, chasey flight. There's David Guildford, and that one was scampering away into the left-hand boonies. It's par 5, just about reachable in 2. It's the longest hole on the course, 554 yards, but 2 big beats, you might just get up.
So Olazabal going with an 8 iron. It's a big hit with this club, but definitely threat of a flyer with grass getting trapped between the club face and the ball.
Seemed to catch you a little bit heavy. I'd be surprised this is anything other than a bit right of the flag. Very difficult to ball follow from the camera behind. But short and right was the safe shot.
And this green and the 7th, or the 4th, the par 5, very pronounced two-tier greens. And can tuck the pin away.
Yeah, it's an unusual golf course. Par of a 73. 7,021 yards, so it's a long golf course, but with the fairways as they are fairly firm, you can get a lot of run on it.
140 yard 9-iron.
Hold on to that top tier. That's very close to where Paul Broadhurst's ball finished and span back, but Coulthard on the correct tier. The 6th hole, according to the computer score sheet, Massimo Scarpa had an eagle too here, so different fortunes. And Tim, have you discovered where Jose Maria's 3rd shot finished?
Yes, come up in the front left-hand bunker, Steve. Seems to be lying quite well, but just waiting for a ruling with Darren Clark here. It's in the left-hand rough with a long tee shot. Jose Maria's been over and had a look and given him relief, so he's just taking a drop.
The referee's keeping busy on this bright sunny morning on the Island of Gran Canarias. You can see if you are a little wider these fairways, it can be a little scrubby. That doesn't look too bad for Darren Clark. Big tee shot.
A very good tee shot.
Look, 105 and 10.
105 and 10, so he's got 115 yards. Andy Prodger there used to caddy for me for quite some time, and Nick Faldo, he took him to his first Open victory. You remember at Muirfield, where Faldo had 18 pars the final day and finally held off poor old Paul Azinger.
Darren Clark slightly unsighted with his 2nd shot, just as Kenny was saying, about 115 yards to go, but overhanging trees front left of this green. For Darren, such a strong player, just a good full sandwich.
Trying to work the ball from right to left and done pretty well. You can see the tree there, that V tree. They lopped a lot of branches off that, but that would have been in his way. He'd had to work the ball around that. It's always great to watch Darren Clark playing. Very strong left-hand grip, you can see that. He's been working very hard with Peter Cowan recently. I know he was up there last week. And a good release through the ball. You've got to have fast hips with a strong grip, otherwise there's always a chance you're going to hit a big hook. But a powerful player and an outstanding talent.
Now Jim Payne on long iron out on the 7th. You see that one bunker there, which is a little bit sneaky because you can't see that from the fairway. It's actually facing the hole, not facing the tee.
Ollie, generally a very good bunker player. Digging down into that one, the ball lying quite well, but playing it against the grain, and that can make the ball check up that little bit quicker.
Quite a good gallery with 3 ball now. David Guilford's 2nd shot. You see he's got a little fortunate in the waist area.
Now a low hook, making sure he's got a good footing there. Watch this low bender.
You could get that chasing on and on. There's that bunker, which would have been in play for Guilford.
So Darren Clark for a birdie here at the sixth hole. It's the longest par 4 on the course at 434 yards, really testing. And the PGA European Tour officials cutting the flag up on this top left tier today, which making it all the more tricky. Darren's drive there, some 320 yards, has given him the opportunity to hit the sand wedge to here, and this putt pretty straight, slightly updale, maybe just break a little bit from right to left as it dies.
Clark 2 years ago was tied 5th behind Jarmo Sandlin, so he's got course and distance pedigree, if you like, having played so well last week as well. Last year, the German Masters, and really overpowered the Montaigne course, and that was just about just a couple of weeks after he changed coaches.
Yes, like Lee Westwood, both working with Peter Cowan, who's, I read last week somewhere, that has been made the coach for the Yorkshire junior side. He's a great player. He used to play on the tour in my day. He had a wonderful swing as well. He knows a lot about the game. Passing on to Darren Clark. I noticed both Darren and Lee Westwood putting with a very similar sort of style, so he's obviously working on their putting as well.
Andrew Coulthard now, the only player to have played this hole conventionally, middle of the fairway and on the green. Looking for another birdie to take him to 5 under. This one, once again, fairly straight. This pin cut on a fairly flat spot. May just try and break just slightly right to left at the end, but putt it to the green, so that will make it just slightly slower.
Coulthard just a whisker away from outright second.
It's funny where the flag was left lying on the green. Very unusual to see on the Pro Tour, the flag just lying on the putting surface.
Paul Broadhurst just over that hidden bunker, and third shot to the 7th. Rather like David Guilford was in the trees on the left off the tee. May still make his 4.
Virtually straight up the green, this one. Oh, a nice putt on the last green. This is to save par, though.
In fact, that's a double bogey for Jose Maria with the penalty drop. And back to just 1 under. It's a real setback. Of course, you can't afford the big numbers. This one just requires a little bit of care and attention for Darren Clark. And safely in for his 4. Rather a venturous par, but on the card.
Played the hole perfectly so far, Jim Plain. Fairway from the tee, laid up to here. Nice 3/4 sandwich. Just misjudging the wind a fraction. Pin right at the back of the green. It does tend to slope away at the back, so players tend to come up a little bit short.
So Seve at the moment stuck in par mode, but that would do. I'm sure he'd take 4 more and a round of 70. Jim Payne, though, setting the pace by 2. He's at 6 under. Back to the 70, Andrew Coulthard.
Playing back into the breeze today, so out of range for all the players. They're just playing a placement tee shot. No one really trying to press too hard. There is a bunker up the right-hand side off the tee, which is 231 yards to carry, so most of the players can fire over there fairly easily.
Now Paul Broadhurst to go to 4 under, a share of second place. Doesn't mean too much to these players. Just settle for a 68-67 opening round. Good, solid start, and the rest can take care of itself until perhaps Sunday. But 4.67s won't be far away.
Yeah, there's one player in the field that might be able to reach for 2. It's this man. Darren Clark, who lives near the lovely Port Rush golf course, where the British Seniors Open is back again this year. I hope Brian Barnes is back, and all the other stars, Bob Charles. And of course we've got a few new ones. Hugh Baiocchi and Jose Maria Canizares has turned 50.
They'll be most welcome. We'll be hoping that Dennis Hutchinson, who was in this commentary box in South Africa for Sky Sports, also threatening to come over to Port Rush as well.
Stand still, please.
Seve, like Paul Broadhurst before, going with the putter.
Well, showed a lovely touch on the previous hole, that beautiful little chip up, and that one coming up a bit light, coming up that tier. Generally the grain of the grass grows down the tier, so it makes it a lot slower. And a very difficult one to judge, particularly when you're putting from off the putting surface.
Tharball. And a feature of his comeback, Tim, that he's gone to the metal woods rather than the persimmon.
Yes, he had that game with Seve at Padrina, and Seve talked him into using a metal wood. He said you have to keep up with the time, so Ola Tharball, who normally plays with a wood, is out with the metal. Or he did win the Masters using metal woods.
Of course, Augusta very firmly back on the calendar now for Ola Tharball. And Paul Broadhurst just coming out of the horseshoe of the tee just to test the wind here at the 8th. It's a definition for the players. It's difficult on some of these sort of low flat holes just to really get a positive mental image of the shot they have to play.
Yeah, he's got 183 yards, plays a little bit uphill this 8th hole. You just can't see the putting surf from where they're playing. Looking like a 6-iron, trying to work the ball from right to left into the pin, and that's pretty well judged. This green's got a big crown in the middle of it, so no matter where you are, the ball tends to fall off.
And this on tape, David Guilford. And this for his par 5, and just in off the left-hand side. The scoring already excellent, 54 players. Remember, only half the field out, but already 54 par or better. Now Guilford live on the 8th tee.
He was in here.
The 1994 champion of this tournament. Going with a 6-iron.
Pushed it a little to the right. Andrew Coulthard on the 7th, and Tim, he's employing the referee again.
Yes, he's certainly keeping them very busy, Steve. His tee shot here at the 7th again, pulled down the left-hand side and scampered to the base of one of the date palms and taken an unplayable lie penalty drop of 1.
That's right near the seapex, isn't it?
Lovely rhythm and balance in this swing.
Except maybe with that one, Kenny. Just away to the right with David Guilford.
Just trying to force one there. It looked like it seemed to get stuck on the back foot. You can say aiming to the right, just hooding the face down a little bit. So obviously caught between two clubs and going with the shorter one and trying to force it. You can see a lot of right hand action there. Nicely balanced follow through, but not one of his best shots. Very laid back character, does nothing in a hurry.
We'll see Darren Clark, see how close he can get to the 7th in 2.
Even with two decent sized belts, he's still some 40 yards short of the putting surface.
So Andrew Coulthard has found problem off the fairway again. It's still Jim Payne at 6 under, setting the pace in the early stages of the Turespaña Masters in Gran Canaria. And as you sweep over the sand dunes from the ocean towards the holiday resort of Maspalomas, you chance upon the Campo de Golf Maspalomas, scene of this Turespaña Masters. It's round 1.
Wasn't that a wonderful piece of golfing terrain there to build golf courses on?
It is, and you wouldn't have to chop down too many trees, would you? Keep everybody happy. Andrew Coulthard is struggling. He's tacking his way up this 7th hole. And seeing a good card disappear. This that was on tape. This is live, and Tim, he's got his troubles.
Yes, 123 yards to go under this tree, just trying to grip down and bump it forward. Collided with the tree in front of him. I have to say, I think he was a little bit careless there with his 3rd shot. Having taken the drop, he consulted the referee and seemed a bit disgruntled that he couldn't get quite free of the tree to make a good full 3rd shot, and played it very quickly and shot it across the fairway. So I think with hindsight, a little bit more time and care taken.
So last hole it was Olathabo and Coulthard this time round, ahead on the 8th, the tournament leader.
Very difficult to lay this one dead. Uphill and then down the other side. And done reasonably well. He's putting back up the hill.
These morning starters perhaps getting the best of the conditions. There's a chance that the greens may get a little spiky this afternoon.
So Andrew Coulthard now facing his 5th shot to this par 5 7th. Just about bang on 100 yards. Going with the pitching wedge, and the breeze into the player's face and off the right. Flag cut well towards the back of the green, just 4 yards behind it. Needs to gather himself and see if he can get up and down. Just make a bogey 6.
Coming at that spindly rough. I'm not quite sure what sort of strike going to get on the ball. Got ball first and no grass trap, but not very well done. So he really is struggling up this 7th hole, and it really is a pickup hole.
Should be, but the hole before, Tharbal, a double bogey 6, and it looks like Seve suffered the same fate and tries to steer us back to level par. So if you do get out of position, this course not as simple as it may appear, and quite a lot of the drives are pretty narrow from the very back tees.
Jim Payne is gathering himself together. Up the hill a little bit from the right.
Pity. Pity because not the sort of hole where you would expect to drop a shot. So Jim Payne slipping back and no longer in the lead.
Certainly when they played here in 1995 it was the toughest hole, but of course it was playing 229 yards now, whereas it's only 180 odd today. Well, we have a new leader, Neil Briggs. Oh, look at that wonderful golf on the back nine. 4-4-2, an eagle at the third and then 2 birdies, so he's going along very nicely.
It's a good start for the Yorkshireman. Been on the fringes of the tour, on and off. Now, David Guilford, this on tape, and it's a simple 3. It's good to see Neil Briggs going so well. So he's had his ups and downs, but always keeps cheerful. He's always got a word for everybody.
Yes, his best finish was back in 1995, finished second in the Peugeot French Open there. He won £61,000, and last year he dropped from 54th to 154th on the money list, so he'll be playing here as a category 12.
And Paul Broadhurst from the back of the 8th. Can you get the play going again? Just a little quicker, the putting stroke. Didn't get the roll.
Seve back to level par, double bogey at the last, and just waiting for the fairway to clear. He's got his driver in his hand. I'm not sure whether he's going to go with that.
Let's just wait to get that 6 confirmed, but it's a setback for Seve, no doubt about it.
Up for a 6 for Andrew Coulthard. Very much downhill, down grade. Breaking from left to right.
Jolt up back then to just 2 under par. Paul Broadhurst left that putt short for birdie, but safely tapped in for his 3. Tee shot at the 9, pushing it down the right-hand side. And I guess if you're going to miss the fairway, it'd be best to miss on the right on this hole.
Yeah, there's a little bit of room there, and there's a bunker up the left-hand side that if you take a driver, very much in play. So if you often favour that right side, the safe side. Now, last week he always seemed to be able to strike back after a disaster, and a chance here. A little concerned he's standing on his partner's marker.
That's the 7th hole of the second 9 for Jose Maria. He still hasn't got a par on the card. We'll have to wait a little longer for a par. In fact, he's now gone 8 holes. Either birdies, and he's had 6 of them. A bogey and a double bogey, so a little up and down for Olathabal, but once again moving into the right direction. But Neil Briggs is, shall we say, the surprise leader. Often happens in the first round, but he has got the resilience to hang around, and he leads by 1 from fellow Englishman Jim Payne and Jose Caceres. First round of the Turespaña Masters at Maspalomas, and Seve Ballesteros coming off a double bogey at 6. He's got the driver out for his second at the par 5 7th. Now, we've seen the likes of Darren Clark not get too close to the putting surface. I don't know what chance Seve has, but this one's running very well. Oh, he's made it. Well, 2 huge blows from Seve.
He must have got a good runner down the left-hand rough.